All right, I think good to go. So yeah, thank you so much for everybody being here. I'm really, really excited. So this is basically the first event that I'm doing and collabing with my mom, Francisca. So she is also an NLP life coach and practitioner. She has a little bit more certifications than I do. You can
Oh,
go to her website and you learn all about her. But specifically today, we're going to discuss fear, right? So I wanted everybody just to feel free to unmute yourself if you want to share with us, like, what is your worst fear? What are you afraid of? Is it something tangible? Is it something intangible? And if you're, shy, you can always just type there in the chat. So please feel free to tell me what are your fears? Dun, dun, dun. You guys not fearful of anything?
oh, put up your hands.
Yeah,
You can
isn't it,
speak.
mom? Okay, so I'm afraid of heights. I'm going to put it out there. So when we go hiking, um, and if it's very high up, I struggle to come down heights. Okay, something's with me there. Anyone else?
Yeah, well, I'm also not so good with heights,
Fearless.
so maybe you've
Yeah,
inherited it from
from
me.
you, yeah.
I'll
And
go. Anything
okay.
that crawls. I can't do crawly things. It just
Oh,
mustn't crawl my way.
I'm with you on that. So you reminded me, I don't do cockroaches and Parktown prawns. So
Oh,
I'm, I'm fine with spiders, just not Parktown prawns. Safety and security. Okay, so you're scared of not being safe. Okay, thanks, Kieran. Anyone else? Emily? Okay, cool. So everybody's obviously scared of something. And today, specifically, we're going to talk around how fear can hold us back with regards to achieving our dreams, our wants, our hopes, things that we aspire to do. So we're going to take you through this journey. Myself and Fran, it's very interactive. We're going to be talking, and there is a bit of a surprise at the end that's going to help us to overcome our fears. And yeah, just enjoy the session. I hope you enjoy it. Right. Okay, so fear. What is fear? Everybody should know what fear is, but specifically, it is an emotion. So when you come across any type of threat, any type of danger, certain physiological responses happen in your body. Okay, so you will maybe scream, jump, start sweating, so sweaty palms. Maybe your muscles tremble. And then there's different types of fears, all the way from a phobia to post-traumatic stress, having social anxieties, and believe this in a way that there are actually only 7 emotions in the whole world, and fear is one of those emotions that is universal. So everybody does feel fear. And it's seen as a negative emotion. But in a way, fear is there to protect us and it keeps us safe. And it also mobilize us to take action when there's some sort of threat, when there's some sort of potential thing that can harm us, right? So essentially, as humans, there's been some research done, and it's been identified that children or babies are scared of only 2 things. These 2 things is a fear of falling, and the other one is a fear of loud noise. So for those moms out there, especially if you have a newborn baby, if there's a sudden noise, you freak because you know the baby's going to wake up, it's going to have a fright. So those are the 2 fears that we are born with, and over time we develop other sorts of phobias and fears, and it's very much linked to our experiences. I'm going to just note that the experience you have is very much tied to the emotion, so the intensity of that fear, the timing of that fear. So, is there an impending danger? How far is that danger from you? And then the coping mechanism. So, what action you can take to basically eliminate that threat, eliminate that fear that's in front of you. So, during this presentation, I'm going to just touch on how fear affects your body, how it affects your mind, and the perceived fear, how it affects your health, um, and yeah, and how it can be both positive and negative. Right. So we're going to start out with your body. First of all, I want you to picture yourself at the zoo, and you see this very cute cub. Okay, a lion cub. Your first reaction is, "Oh, so cute." But if you had to see a lion in the Kruger, for those that are in South Africa, and you're not in your car, you're obviously going to freak and start running, right? So very much so, if you feel protected in the situation, you're going to react differently. And when you experience fear, the first place it happens, or the trigger begins in your brain, in your amygdala. And very much the fear is based on your specific experience. So like I mentioned, fear comes from when you were young. When you were a baby, you had these two fears, and over time you developed other fears. And we learn, and we have these experiences in our life that it embeds in our memory. And I want to talk about the body as a whole. So in our body, we've got the central nervous system, and central nervous system is basically made up of our spinal cord and our brain. And then we have the peripheral nervous system, and that is your parasympathetic and your sympathetic nervous system. So your parasympathetic, it's your rest and digest system, and then your sympathetic, parasympathetic is your rest and digest, and your sympathetic is your fight or flight. So the fear happens, right? What actually occurs is you have a fright, your brain releases these certain chemicals, which is adrenaline, cortisol, and that pushes your body in a state of being able to run, or the increased oxygen, the increased blood flow, so that you can run away from that perceived threat. Your pupils also dilate, they get larger. So in a way, your body is going to react to that fear. So I'm just going to show. Yes, Mom.
Yes, I just want to say something. If you go back to that slide, we talk about the brain. We still have that part of the primitive brain, which we've had for thousands of years, which protect us. It's the reptilian brain, and that was actually developed when we say hundreds of years ago, when we had to react, on either fear. Or, for example, if a lion was chasing us, we would either run away or we would freeze. So we still have that, and that's still responsible for today, that regulates, our fear and how we will react to it. So it's a part of the brain. It's called the reptilian brain. I just thought, for interest's sake, to mention this.
Thanks. So that fear is obviously starts in our brain. And I just wanted to take us to this slide, sorry. Right. So in your brain, you have this thought, a fearful thought, or it could be real or not, could be real or imagined. And what happens is, first thing is those adrenals are sent, or those chemicals are sent through your body, be it the cortisol, the adrenaline, affects your digestive system. Your heart rate goes faster, and your muscles, could start to tremble, or your muscles become in a state where they can react. So we want to recognize fear for what it is, specifically in your face, in your facial expressions. It might be confused with surprise. So a fear reaction in a person's face is a raised eyebrows. Your whites of your eyes are more protruding, and your voice changes. So naturally, most women, we scream when we're afraid. So here's just an image of person that's had a fright. This is a typical fearful person. And from here, my mom's friend is going to just take us through, what happens actually in your mind when you experience a fearful reaction. Okay. Over to you, Fran.
Okay, so where's my slide? First of all, let's look at what Dr. Joe Dispenza says. Your brain and body don't know the difference between having an actual experience in your life and just thinking about the experience neurochemically. It's the same. So now, if we look at the subconscious mind, the slide, I think it's after this or before this, it will show you the model of the subconscious mind. So consciously, what happens is we get information, the information goes in, and from a very young age, obviously, all the things that we've learned, everything that we've ever done, seen, heard, is stored in the subconscious mind. So I want to tell you a story about a girl, well, we call her Kate. Now, Kate, when she was 7 years old, she was asked to go on the stage and to present a bouquet of flowers to somebody who's performed a nice musical that evening. Kate had the flowers in her hand and she was going up the stairs, and she was looking and turning to the audience to see where her mother was. You know, she was so proud of herself walking up the stairs with the flowers, and that she didn't see the last step, and she stumbled and she fell. The flowers fell, and believe it or not, everybody started laughing. I think a lot of the children started laughing as well. And what happened with Kate, of course, she ran away in tears, and the flowers had to be picked up and being handed over by somebody else. Now, fast forward, say 20 years later, Kate is a very successful businesswoman, and somebody asked her if she could present another speaker out from out of town that evening, you know, with some flowers or whatever they were going to present. So what was Kate's reaction? Anybody?
She couldn't do it.
She couldn't do it, but now why couldn't she do it? So let's look again now at that slide where we say where all our memories and everything is stored in the subconscious mind. She couldn't do it because her memory is stored in her subconscious mind. And now what she perceives is, oh, I have to go and present something. So the first thing will be to perceive, like, what's going on around me? What do I have to do? Then we associate, or she associated that which she has to do with what's happened in the past. So there's association. Now, of course, there's going to be evaluation. So what did this lead me to? What happened? Oh, I fell down. I embarrassed myself. So then this decision will be made on her emotional state that she is currently in. And it will most probably be, no, I can't do it. The subconscious mind will keep you safe. So in that case, in Kate's case, it's keeping her safe from feeling embarrassed or feeling any other emotion that she associated with that event. Because our decisions are always based on our current emotions. Should she come out of this with a different change her mind concept of, oh, I'm a mature woman, I know how to walk, this is working for my highest good, you know, and she changed her wording. Just to give one example, she could do it very easily, but it will still depend on her emotional state. So I'll repeat again, any decision that you make is based on your emotional state. So you'll make a good decision when you're in a good heart feel position. And if you are in a not such a good space, you might not make the best decision for everybody involved, including yourself. Thanks, Tim.
Thank you. So I just want to chat about the conditioning that we experience when, you know, having a fearful experience and the association, like you mentioned, with what happened with Kate. So there was this experience that she had, it embedded in her brain, and then she had this trigger, right? So when she had to go on stage. So there was some research done by a Russian psychologist. His name is Pavlov, and he studied, you know, the response in animals and humans, and he had done some experiments, and he had these dogs, which you know, he'd feed, and what he'd normally do is to call the dogs, he'd ring the bell. And then the dogs would come to him, and he would notice that they'd already start, their mouth would start salivating before even he'd put the food out. And I'm sure you've seen, like, when you're eating a, you know, biscuit and your dog's looking at you and he's just like drooling. He's like, please feed me, like he's never been fed before. That, you know, you can see the association. The bell that you know, Dr. Pavlov rang had made the animal already, you know, the mouth already salivate. So certain fears is instilled in us depending on a you know, a memory that's happened or a traumatic experience that's happened. And what's happened over all the years is scientists are able now to measure a fear based on, you know, our heart rate, looking at our brain waves, our pupil size, you know, the change in our respiratory you know, levels, and as well as cortisol. And, you know, when I chatted about the chemicals in your body, there's a lot of body of research that has now linked cortisol, you know, to diseases in the body. So that stress or that fearful experience releases these adrenalines, these cortisols, and too much of it actually can be bad for you, right? Going to touch on a little bit on, if you've got too much fear in your life, how can it, it affect you in a bad way? So from your physical health perspective, it does cause a weakened immune system. It causes irritable bowel syndromes, gastrointestinal problems, and been found as well to premature aging, even your death. From a memory perspective, and there's a lot of research that also the memories you have may or not be the same as what you remembered, and also it impairs your ability to remember things when you're in this constant fearful mode. And it affects obviously your ability to make decisions, make wise decisions, if you're always in a fearful state. And in mental health, obviously, on a mental health level, it will cause prolonged fear, can cause mental disorders, mood disabilities, PTSD, depression, that type of thing. So in a way, being in a fearful state all the time is bad for your health. Going to just touch on as well as the memory portion, like I said. So when we are in a fearful state, we release cortisol, and it affects our ability to be able to learn, to be able to remember things. And our brain anyway is thinking of the worst case scenario all the time. And then it goes back to, what did you remember when that fearful event happened? And what was surrounding you when that happened? And you could suppress a fearful experience to the point where you don't remember it, but something unrelated can happen, and then it brings back all those emotions, all that fearful memories. So I'm going to tell you a quick story that a fellow coach had told me about. He had, and for the basis of the story, obviously there's no names, but there was a lady that he had coached, and she had experienced a very traumatic rape experience, which was quite severe for a woman to go through, and she had blocked the entire memory. She couldn't remember. It was a group of guys. It was at night. But every time she saw a cat, specifically a black cat, she would go into a state of panic and almost black out. Like she would just go hysterical and get very upset. And through series of therapy, through series over time, it was found that when she was raped and when she had gone through the therapies of remembering what had occurred, there was a cat in the vicinity, and all she could remember was seeing this cat. So whenever she saw a black cat, it would bring those emotions. And just talking about it, I get emotional having to hear of her experience. So very much our memories are tied with the emotions, the heightened emotions, like Fran mentioned. It instills within us. Okay, Mom, I don't know, over to you about what makes us actually fearful, the things that scares us.
Oh, what makes us fearful? There are so many things that make us fearful. When we are able to cope with threats, it lessens or removes the fear. Sometimes, things like, I don't know if you mentioned it, you hear thunder and initially your body sort of jerks and you have a fright, but then you realize that's only thunder, So when something happens, like sudden darkness, the lights go out and you're not prepared, that you can make you fearful because, okay, maybe it's not load shedding, maybe the light switch tripped, it can be anything. You can be afraid. Common triggers can be flying, maybe the plane is going to crash. Maybe I shouldn't take this plane today. You can feel also other things that can make you fearful is what other people think of you. Oh, they must think I am fat. Oh, they must think I'm dumb. They must think. We project in our own mind what we think other people might think about us, and it might not even be true. So there are so many things that we can be fearful of. Rejection. You can be fearful of rejection because you have a history of being rejected by men in your life. You felt rejected as a child. You thought that you've coped with that emotional, well, I don't want to call it firm, emotional abuse, even in a way that it's in your mind, and until you reach adulthood and you suddenly go out with somebody and they treat you, and it reminds you of a way that you were treated as a child, and it can bring all of that back because we never actually lose any of our memories. It's all stored there. Anything can trigger it. Snakes. I mean, we mentioned snakes, spiders. People are scared of so many things. So Persistent fear can sometimes be referred to as anxiety. So now anxiety is when we feel constantly fearful of something, worried, without sometimes even knowing why.
Mm-hmm.
And we can't always understand why. Anxiety is a common experience for many people. It can be considered a disorder when it's persistent, when it happens every day, when you can't sleep at night. Then you know it's time to seek help.
Absolutely. So, the reason why we decided, okay, let's do this session, we wanted to give you guys some tools of how to overcome fear, and specifically when it comes to, reaching your dreams. Maybe you have these things that you want to do, but maybe you self-sabotage, or you're too scared to move forward in your life. And there's some techniques, you can implement in your life, to not focus on the fear and not let the fear be, the obstacle in your life. So practicing gratitude, being grateful for what you already have. Um, Changing the story, so that's how you speak to yourself. Be a friend to yourself. How would you speak to your best friend if they're going through a difficult time, versus how would you, speak to yourself? Normally we are much more harsher to ourselves. Taking care of your body, so eating right, taking enough rest when you need, not overworking, sleeping enough. And I think Mom chatted to me about this today, about the flight or freeze. What we should do, is find a state of flow, learning to find, flow activities, in our lives.
So can I just elaborate maybe on that?
Yes,
We have ways in which we react to certain situations. I mean, we might start the day off very, very good, and then you're grateful for all the things that you have, and then you drop your child off at school, and you come back and your husband is working from home, and you asked him to pack away the washing, and the basket is still standing there, and you just blow a gasket, you just lose your temper. So there are two ways to look at this. You've asked it 1,000 times, the person, it's not going to change. So if we say learn to flow, is to look at how you're reacting to something that's you don't even need to react to at all. Maybe come to a compromise. Say, okay, so you didn't put this dishes away. How about you do it when you feel like it? I mean, that sounds a bit ridiculous, but learn to compromise and learn to flow. So when we say learn to flow, learn to watch how you react. Learn to flow. So it's like almost like observing before you react. Observe yourself, observe your thoughts. Watch your thoughts. Is it really necessary to think all these 1,000 thoughts? Because we're thinking about 50,000 thoughts every single day. Is it necessary? Is it necessary to act like this? So coming to learn to flow is, well, he's not going to do it. It's still going to be there in 10 minutes time. Either walk over it, move it out of the way, think of other ways and learn to flow. The other thing I want to also emphasize is the way we speak to ourselves. We wake up in the morning, we want to get dressed and say, oh, I'm too fat. Oh, I look ugly in this dress. Oh, look at my hair. Oh, no, another gray hair. That's true. But would you speak to your friend like this? So if you can't be a friend to yourself and say to yourself, oh, don't I look sexy today? Oh, look at my hair. Oh, I am so good looking. Today I eat healthy. Self-talk can be a way out of anxiety. I didn't actually put it later on, but I thought mention it here.
Yes.
The way you talk to yourself is so important. Oh, I ate too much last night. Oh, I'm going to be fat. Oh, I feel so full. I feel I ate a horse. Or instead of saying, well, I ate a bit much, but I know I've got a good metabolism, and by tomorrow morning I can eat healthy again. All of that, it's the way you speak to yourself. It's the way what you do with what you're thinking and saying to yourself. It's the way that you are able to change that from a negative to a positive. Because we as human beings, we are teleological in nature. So the more you think of negative things, the more negative things you'll have. The more you think of positive things, the more positive things you will have.
I'm loving the comments coming in. So Monet says, working from home and all of the changes, adjusting to new norm is causing anxiety and fear. And I think that relates to beginning of lockdown, beginning of the pandemic. We were all very fearful. We didn't know what was going on. And everyone panicked and thought, okay, it's the end of the world. How am I going to live? I'm stuck at home. You know, people around me are getting ill. I'm not going to die. My loved one's going to die. And some of us have experienced that we lost loved ones. So yeah, it's living in that constant fear, anxiety, and getting out of that constant fear. Emily said you also cannot control what other people do or do not do. You might not know what's on their plate. Maybe he did not put the dishes away because he had a work emergency. Nice.
Exactly.
Defending
We
the
don't
man.
know. We jump to conclusions, then we get angry.
Yeah. And then Karen says, laughing at the morning talk. Yeah. So the morning talk, I think that's vital. And then it speaks to the fear, right? So if you're going to speak to yourself in a fearful manner, that's
Yes.
what your perception is, and you're going to see that everywhere, and it's going to become your reality because you are fearful.
Yeah.
I just wanted to also just note that, look, when we are afraid, and we said the brain is reacting and it's sending out these adrenals, adrenaline to our bodies and the cortisol so we can react. It also puts us in a state that we can do things, right? It's protecting us. It's putting us in a state of high alert. It's making us motivated. It can also give us the energy to do what we need to do, right? But there also needs to be a stage where we say, or where we realize that prolonged fear or prolonged having that heightened emotion of fear can lead to the stress, the anxiety, and we need the right dose. Like, we actually do need fear in a way to overcome the obstacles that we have in our lives. And then with the amount, the right combination of fear and taking risks, obviously risks that are in a way healthy, we can actually have, greater life satisfaction in a way. I don't know, Santham, you've got your hand up. I don't know, do you want to share? This is like a hand. I wasn't sure. Is it a hand up? Is it a thumbs up?
I was laughing because of that morning talk. Like, I'm too fat, I'm too this, I'm too that. And I can see a gray hair, which is like, you can do nothing about it. If it's in the morning, you have to go somewhere.
But it's so true. It's so true. But that's what we do. We forget that we're actually spiritual beings having a human experience. So it's all about, this concept that we want the world to have of ourselves, the concept of that we have of ourselves, our self-image. Believe me, your self-image is also stored in your subconscious mind. How you perceive, or you want the world to perceive you, and your reality of what you're actually saying to yourself.
Mm. And this is where we come to the fear of failure, right? So you want to do something, or let's say you want to start a new venture, or you want to start a new project, and you perceive that people are going to think you're a failure, or you're not going to do well, or others are going to judge you, or, and you keep saying to yourself, oh, what if this doesn't work? It's not going to work. I'm already stressed out. No, this is not the right thing for me. And it goes back to the self-talk. So you actually imagine the failure before it's even started. And in a way, it's because you haven't accepted or you haven't experienced the fact that, it can be successful. It can be good. You haven't tasted that success. So you're feeding off the bad. You're feeding off the anxiety. You're not going to be able to concentrate on becoming a success. And I think fear of public speaking, Mom, I don't know, very similar to what Kate has experienced, right?
So I put that in, but the fear of so many things, and we keep forgetting that everybody has fears. But just go back to the previous slide. I just want to say something.
Yes.
When we say fear of the unknown and fear of success, I just want to mention there, because all our memories are stored in our subconscious mind, and even your perception about yourself, the way you talk to yourself. And if you say, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy enough to receive this promotion, to self-sabotage your success, your subconscious mind will make sure that you actually don't get it, because your subconscious mind is there to keep you. It will not argue with you. It will not say, oh, no, you are worthy. If you say, I'm not actually worthy, I'm not good enough, maybe, somebody else deserves it, you're going to get what you are putting in. We say garbage in, garbage out. Good in, good out. So if you're going to have that picture of yourself, the subconscious mind is going to make sure that you are not going to make a success, that you're going to be a failure. So the same, we can go back to the slide of the next slide.
Yes.
Public speaking. So if you have a fear of public speaking, you actually don't want to go and speak. Say, for example, you have to be the best man, what they call a person that speaks of the
best man. Yeah.
the best,
man.
well, there's another word for it, but doesn't matter now. You have to speak at the wedding, okay? And because it's your cousin and you know, you've known each other since, you know, you were 3 years old, you feel pushed in a corner that you have to do it. But in your mind, you are fearful. You know you can't speak in public. You know that if you are going to be scared, your makeup is going to start, you know, getting off your face because you're going to break out in a sweat and all of this. So now you're going to start saying to yourself, I can't do this. I'd rather be dead or sick or anything than do this. There's no way I can do this. Obviously, I'm not good enough even to this. I hate the idea. What is the most likely thing that will happen when you're supposed to go and do the speech? There's a scenario of things, but if you're going to say, first of all, I'd rather be sick than going there, I'd rather, well, let's not use dead. let's scrap that word. But you must understand, your subconscious mind will make sure that you are sick. You are too sick. You will develop something the night before the wedding so that you don't have to do this speech at the wedding, because you are saying you can't, I can't, I'm not good enough. I'd rather be sick. Your subconscious mind will make sure of the fact that you will not be able to it. So that's why I'm saying, if you're saying to your subconscious mind, you're ugly, it will say, yes, you are. If you say you're fat, yes, you are. Anything you say, it agrees with you. It doesn't know any difference. It's supposed to keep you, you. So if you, on the other hand, think that you are perfect and you can do public speaking, what's going to be the result? Oh, there's my cue. Yes, I can do it. You will do it. It's all about the frame of mind, your emotional state. Next one. Anybody wants to add something, you know, you're welcome to.
Yeah. If anybody wants to say anything? No? No, I was just thinking about, yeah, go on.
Yeah, sorry. I can actually relate to that, and it was quite interesting. Is last night I watched a program about Miss South Africa, right? And they've got actually people that assist these models just with the train of thought and helping them with these fear of participating, public speaking, answering not just the answers to questions, but talking directly from the heart, right, on a topic.
Yes.
And that was quite amazing just to think about it in a sense that, you know, these people also have got tremendous amount of fear and anxiety, you know, besides just walking up and looking pretty, and that they actually need to work through that as well to get to where they, you know, before they can actually talk to not just a small audience, but to a broadcasted audience around the world. And I thought that was amazing. Thank you.
Thanks for sharing, Monet.
Yeah, and to think, you know, these are beautiful, beautiful women. They look and they emanate, you know, they glow of beauty and they glow of this. They have the self-confidence. I am beautiful. Look at me. I'm tall and skinny, and that's how we perceive them. But meanwhile, in their heads, they are also that thing. And I think, you know, it's very important to note that everybody has fears. Everybody goes through this conflict in their minds and their heads. And I mean, here we can just chat about that shift that needs to happen. You know, seeing yourself from a different view. Again, it's how you talk to yourself. Be aware of the good qualities that you have, your abilities, your capabilities, and even if you do mess up, right? So let's say you fall on stage. I mean, you could really freak out and run away, or you can laugh about it, say, "Oops, I tripped, ha ha ha." You know,
it must be the high heels.
You know, and you can make it. You can make the situation a little bit different. And what I wanted to emphasize, you know, where does it come from? Does it come from a place of fear? Does it come from a place of love? Any emotion. You know, we're all going to have that fearful things happen to us. And I mean, this false evidence appearing real, I mean, it really resonates. What we think is, you know, around us, and it's a perceived fear. It's all in our heads. like those ladies that were on stage. I mean, you would assume they're feeling glorious being on stage, but actually they're going through this battle of not being able to speak, in front of the crowd, and they need to be trained and they need to go through a process to be able to do that professionally.
Yes, yeah, I just want to add something on the acronym that you use for fear. I want us to change it from false evidence appearing real to face everything and rise.
Yes, I must actually remember that. Face everything and rise.
That's what we will from now on. When we have fear, is because we'll face everything and we'll rise. So, okay, well, this is the situation. Now look how I'm going to go through this. I'm going to sail through this. Yes, Tim?
No, absolutely. It's a shift that needs to happen. The other thing was the public speaking that we spoke about earlier. So let's say I need to do a talk, right? And I need to be in front of a crowd. And, I could, two options. I could be very fearful, or I can come from a state of excitement. And when you do change that shift, that, perception of, this is exciting, I'm going to give a talk, I'm going to do my best, and whatever happens, happens. And again, the more authentic you are, overcome that fear of the worst possible case or the worst possible outcome is going to happen, and have excitement. So that very much applies to your dreams, your goals, what you want to achieve in your life. If you're going to come from a place of fear, it's not going to happen. You're not going to succeed. But if you're coming from a place of excitement, from a place of love, from a place of joy, you're going to be able to get through those goals and break up the big goals into small little goals. And remember to reward yourself, praise yourself when you've done something well, reward yourself and train your brain with that reward, and you'll find that the next one comes and you can do it, and the next difficult task comes and you can do it, and that's how you become better, and you can achieve anything you've set out to do. Yeah. So I don't know, Mom, do you want to mention anything else?
Well, we've just talked about the goals, the make goals, it, the goals. I mean, to make it, with a time limit.
Smart
visualization, I think, is something that is very, very helpful. I don't know if we have time now for exercise, but we will. We'll do some exercise a little bit later on, so where we can do a visualization exercise to see actually how powerful your mind is. We forget that we are powerful, that we are magnificent beings. We forget that we don't even know our full potential that we have. Because human beings are born with 100% potential. And how much of the potential that we are born with do we actually use? How much?
0, 1%.
Well, maybe some people 6%,
Yeah.
So that potential can include things like, do I have the potential to be a murderer? Do I? Or do I have the potential to be a failure? Yes, you have the potential to be anything you want, anything you put your mind on. So again, we come back to the shift. If I think that I have the potential to be a murderer, probably we could be one. But if I think I have the potential to be the best version of myself, that's what I will be. But remember that in each person of us, there's the black and there's white, there's good and evil. So we can lean either way.
Okay, so it's just some quick takeaways that you can take. And obviously we're going to do that exercise on visualization. Okay. But what we'd like you to remember, or what we'd like you to take away from today's session, is to understand and realize that you're not alone in this. Everybody experiences fear. Everybody's got things they want to achieve, but they go through this internal battle in their mind of, well, I can't do this, I'm not good enough, this internal judgment. And there's this perceived fear. A lot of the time, it's actually an illusion. It only exists in our minds. And we don't have to figure things out for ourselves. So understand that you're not alone. I was chatting to a friend a couple of days ago about this, that in your life, you should rely on 5 people, and there's a lot of research or talks about this in motivational, gurus around it. They say the most or the best people or the most 5 people you spend your time with, you will become like them. So find those 5 people, your support group that will uplift you, that will say positive things, that will encourage you, to work towards your dreams, to overcome the fears, to overcome the bad behaviors, overcome the negative thinking patterns that you have. Sometimes you do have to make those difficult choices and walk away from negative situations and toxic people. And understand that what you feel is real. Identify the emotions, and if it becomes overbearing, seek help. There's nothing wrong with seeing a therapist. There's nothing wrong with talking about somebody, especially when it's overwhelming, that you can't sleep, you can't eat, you can't function, you just don't want to go forward in life. Practice self-care. I think that's pretty much obvious. Be kind to yourself. Focus on positive thoughts. We talked a lot about how you talk to yourself like you're talking to your best friend, and practice mindfulness, and you're training your brain through some of these tools. We talked about the visualizations, and then the working on your dreams. So if it's a big dream, how can you break it down into small little chunks? Make sure that it's SMART goals, like we mentioned, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, time bound, and then reward yourself for accomplishing those sets of tasks that's linked to your dreams. And I think the rest is pretty much standard. So think positively. And the worst case scenario. So I actually had coached a client a couple of weeks ago, and he had this dream in mind, or he had this goal in mind, and I had to play devil's advocate because as a life coach you have to do that. And I said to him, but this is all great and I love it, but what if? And in a way, I felt bad for saying that. But, he actually turned around and said, you're right. What if this doesn't work? So I said, right. So let's plan what is the possible solutions you can do in case this dream or this goal that you have doesn't work out. And he actually said, thank you so much, because it helped me to think of other avenues. So, having a backup plan, if plan A doesn't work, I need a plan B. Don't wallow in the fear that it's not working. Okay, do it, try it, it's not working, plan B and plan C. Hopefully you will get there. And something I want to mention is from fear, or when we fail in something, let's say it's a task or something that we set out to do, don't see it as a failure, rather see it as a lesson learned, grow from it, apply it, and never actually see it as a failure, rather see it as feedback to improve. So ask yourself these 3 questions. What did I learn from the situation? How can I grow as a person from the situation? What are the 3 positive things that actually came out of me doing this thing that, I think has failed? Okay, courage. I think the main aim here I wanted to just bring to light is, Mom was talking about the duality. So in every person there's good, there's evil, there's light, there's darkness. And without courage, we wouldn't know what fear is, and vice versa. So in every single one of us, the fact that we are fearful of reaching our dreams, of doing what we want to do in life, we must realize that in us also exists courage. So fear is normal. A little bit of fear in your life is okay. It's going to motivate you. It's going to drive you into action. And just know where it becomes too much, overbearing, where you need to seek help. And I think we're going to do the exercise now, right, Fran? We're ready to do it. Yes. Unless somebody wants to ask, I don't know.
Yes.
Any questions for later?
Well, we can ask. Are there any questions right now?
No, we want to visualize. Questions?
Okay, so
cool.
I want to say that we've talked now a lot about exercises, not exercises, ways that we can overcome fear and anxiety. Is like mindset, self-talk, all of that. But there are some things that we can do on a physical body also to release fear and make you feel calm. And I want you now to rub both your arms up and down. You can cross your arms over and rub it down quite hard. So like 20 counts up and down while you're breathing in and out. And the more then you go slower and slower. When you count to about 20, you should be slowing slowly. So what this does, it starts to release the relaxing brain waves. So it gives a signal to your brain to start relaxing. Another thing you can do is when you suddenly feel very fearful. This is like, when you're somewhere and you are suddenly hit by this feeling of fear. And then you just quickly rub your arms up and down. It's like giving yourself some self-love at the same time. Next thing you can do, start to rub your hands together as fast as you can until you feel some heat on it. So what we're doing is releasing energy. And while you're releasing energy, creating energy, you can actually also take the palms of your hand, put it over your eyelids. Oh, I'm wearing my glasses, but yeah, and then just keep it there. Close your eyes for a couple of minutes. And you should feel the difference. Another thing you can do is, this might look very strange, gently stroke your face. You can stroke your face this way, behind the ears, stroke your neck, behind the ears, your chin. Couple of times. So these are just physical things we can do. Then another thing you can do is push your shoulders down. Because what do we tend to do when we get tensed up? What do? It's like we hunch up. It's like, almost like hunchback. We tighten all the muscles. Now we want to release and relax. So we push our shoulders down. You can even take your hands behind your back and interlace your fingers and push it down. Push your shoulders down. Another way to sort of release some relaxing brain waves is to put the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth. Just I saw that we feel the weight of the world on our shoulders. That's why we often feel at the end of the day, we feel, oh, my shoulders, my neck. It's because we carry all of this stuff with us. So, yeah, push the shoulders down, push the tongue to the roof of your mouth, and you can sit like that. You can sit like that while you work. You can write, you can type. There was something that I didn't type there that I've learned from Marissa Pierce. She said you can swallow or swill saliva around in your mouth. I haven't tried that, but she says that works. Because what happens when you start feeling fear and anxiety, your mouth becomes very dry. And that's why a lot of actors and people that are nervous lick their lips a lot because their mouth is dry. Instead of doing that, so just take the saliva. I didn't type it there because it looked a bit gross, but anyhow, so try it. You can always decide what works for you. I mean, some of this might work for you. All of this might work for you. Okay, so now let's do a visualization exercise to see how powerful the mind is. And then we move on to the last slide. So I want you to either sit down or stand up and turn to your left side. So you lift your left arm to the side, then turn to the left as far as you can. Stretching the muscles here a bit, as far as you can. And when you reach your maximum point, then slowly come back and drop your left arm. Now I want you to close your eyes and visualize the same arm going at least another 30 degrees further. Just visualize. In your mind's eye, you see yourself doing that. Then take a breath in, lift your left arm up, and then swing to where you visualized you could move. And see if you moved any further. And then when you've done that, come back and drop your left arm next to your body. Anybody? Any feedback? But now you can do it several times. You're going to do it 2 or 3 times, and you'll find that every single time that you've done that, that you do that visualization, that you'll actually do better. Because your mind does not know the difference between what is real and what is not. You visualized yourself doing it, so you did it. So when we come to goal setting, visualize what you want yourself or what you are doing as we're already doing it. Visualize that. There's a lot of other exercises we can do on visualization, but I found this one quite amazing. The first time I did it myself, I was like, I didn't even know that I am that, my brain is that smart and I'm that smart. Yes, you are.
That's amazing.
Good.
I really went a lot back. And I mean, like myself and Santam, we're yogis. I didn't go far, but the second time I noticed myself going much more further.
And that's why I love this stuff, as well, because I got fascinated when I started realizing the stuff actually works. It's not just, mumbo jumbo on a piece of paper. It actually works. Okay, so now, before Tamara reads us Our Deepest Fear, which is a beautiful poem by Marianne Williamson, I want to read something else, a short paragraph that also comes from Marianne Williamson. Love is what we are born with. Fear is what we learn. The spiritual journey is the unlearning of fear and prejudices and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. Love is the essential reality and our purpose on earth. To be consciously aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to read the full poem. I'm just putting it up on my screen because I need glasses. I'm going to have to
I couldn't read that, sorry.
Okay, so it is also by Marianne Williamson, like my friend mentioned. So our deepest fear. Our deepest fear is that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful. Oh, no, let me start again. Sorry, guys. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You're a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightening about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We are born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give others permission to do this. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others.
Wow.
So, let your fear of fears go. Right, so just to end off, we'll give you a chance to ask questions and maybe comment, but there are other ways that you can overcome fears when you want to work towards a goal or a dream is become aware of your emotions, positive affirmations, so how you talk to yourself, affirming that you are worthy, that you're strong, that you're powerful. NLP programming, which is techniques that myself and Fran obviously uses from a life coach perspective, so neuro-linguistic programming tools and techniques. Meditation, visualization, we mentioned that. Mindfulness, anchoring, very powerful one. I use that a lot with my clients and on myself. So before I have to go into, a meeting, a presentation, I fire my anchors. A lot of the world's most, I'll use Tony Robbins, for example. So he, for instance, before he gets on stage, he fires his anchors. He gets all ready so that he can jump on stage and be energetic. And that really is just him, using his anchor to behave in that way, to fire that anchor, to behave in that way, to be energetic, to be able to speak in front of thousands of people, without stumbling upon his own words. And then just being aware of, your emotions. If the fear is overwhelming, please seek help. Myself and Fran, we're not health professionals. Maybe something we should have mentioned in the beginning. We're not health professionals. We're just, very much enthusiasts of wellness. Operating, our own life coaching businesses, and being qualified, and find, a coach, maybe a life coach that you can work with, that can help you in this journey of overcoming the obstacles to achieve your dream. So now you can ask any questions, or if anybody wants to comment, maybe, something that resonated with them, please feel free. No question? No comment?
I've got a comment.
Hello. Go ahead.
Yes. And firstly, thank you for sharing this insight, and as well as just inviting us. This is your selfless time that you are sharing and offering to us. And I enjoyed the not so much exercises, but the, what you call this?
Webinar.
No, not the webinar. The exercise, the stuff that we had to do just now. Sorry. Yes.
Oh, the visualization with the arms.
Visualization. Oh, okay.
Yes, I enjoyed those coping. Yes, that's the word I was looking for. This coping mechanism, because that's really what we needed. We can apply immediately. And the more we get to practice that, the more it makes sense. And, we start leaving it. But thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate it. And the positive feedback, and I'm glad the coping mechanisms can help you. You can apply it in your life. Okay, so anybody else want to go? Anybody else got any comments? Send them, your hand's still up. I don't know if that's Emily. Emily wants to go. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I just also wanted to say thank you. And I think especially during this time when we're going through a pandemic, we're actually living in, as you were saying earlier, a lot of people are in a constant state of fear or anxiety or nervousness about things that are outside of our control and things that are happening in the world. So I do think this is very helpful. So thank you for sharing and for taking the time to, reach an audience of people that you can help.
Thank you.
Just in terms of, the exercises, I think that's going to be very helpful. Talking about fear and the nervousness, and you were talking earlier about manifesting and actually making yourself sick. And I recently had an experience like that as well, where I was so worried about something happening, and I actually physically felt it in the pit of my stomach, and that's where a lot of emotions sit.
It's true.
Resonates, and it helps identify, or helps you identify in yourself things that you might not know that you're doing that's there.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing. And I think when you talk about the stomach, especially the stomach, because it's the solar plexus, it's your seat of self-control. There's where, you feel, like you rightly said, it's like if somebody insults you, it feels like somebody punched you in the stomach. The solar plexus, that's what it does, so I'm so happy that we could share something. I didn't mention that, there's the pandemic, but we all know that I think we are living now in a much more fearful state than we would have lived 10 years ago. And also because we don't know where is this going to end and when is it going to end. So it makes life easier if you just know a few tips how to make it lighter a bit. Help you process what's happening here.
I just wanted to share something. I think during the latest slide, something was mentioned that really was really nice for me about choosing to how can I say, accept to be in the moment of love instead, because as much as I anticipate something going wrong, or the results of some blood test or something being negative or whatever, being terrible, I'm sitting there the whole time stressing out so much. My stomach is burning like crazy.
Yes.
But I miss all the moments from now until then. I don't live. So I think what felt nice for me was that I can choose rather to live in moments of love, to like experience love in all the moments instead of experience anxiety in all those moments leading, because I can't change those results. And if I could change them, I could only change them by being in the moment of love than anything else. By being in the other moment will be worse for me. It doesn't help me one, but it actually makes everything worse. So if I want to even heal myself, it's not good. This is not good for me.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that.
Beautiful.
That was really nice.
Thank you.
Thank you, both of you.
Thank you so much.
I think Monet's got his hand up. Monet?
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you all. You know, it's for me, it's been more than a year working from home, and believe it or not, that your brain kind of switch off when you leave the office and you come into home, and that boundaries is not there anymore. So you've got constantly a laptop or PC in front of you, and you wake up and you're in your workspace, and you go literally, I think, certain time of day, you go from just being in front of your laptop till still being in front of a machine or working constantly, right? So the exercises really does help. The breathing, the taking breaks, and then also just looking after what your body is actually saying to you. It's like, listen, you need to stop, otherwise your body is actually collapsing on itself, right? So, and also everything around fear, right? I think that fear for me is exactly what you guys described today. Especially in this time that we're living. I think that that's even accelerated even more with the things that we hear and read and just exposed to every day. And I was just, all of these exercises and everything that you guys are showing us is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Monet.
Right. So it's already 6:10, so I'm obviously very aware of everybody's time, and I just want to thank everybody that did attend. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your input. Thank you for allowing us to come into your life and just give you a little bit of help in whatever way we're trying to present it. We obviously we want to help you in a positive manner. So thank you again. We're using your time as well.
Yes,
so thank
and thank you, Tamara, for setting this up and putting the slides together.
You're welcome. It was really amazing. So if everybody's comfortable, we can close off the meeting. Now I'll share the recording with everybody, and just keep in touch and look after yourself. I mean, at the end of the day, all we have is, our wellness, our health, our bodies. Our mental state is very important. So look after each other and look after yourself.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you. Unless anybody wants to say anything, so everybody unmute yourself if you want to say bye. Lots of love.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Bye.
Amen. Thank you, Pam. Bye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Stop the recording. Not recording.